Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and welcome, everyone, to a new episode of the Lorosportspod and Woodbury University SportsCenter show. My name is Loro Antonio. With me today is Matthew Bridgewater, and today we have a special show to talk about today as we're going to be previewing the 2021 NFL season. We're going to be having our divisional picks, award picks, and also on college football, Matt and I will be predicting who will be winning each conference, and also who's going to be going to the college football playoff, and also picking who's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner this season. So, Matt, how was your weekend, and are you ready for the upcoming NFL season? But college football just got underway.
Yep, I'm doing great and really excited about the start of football and looking forward to an exciting college football season as well.
Yes, we got some good. We had some great games last week, so we'll dive deep into that in just a minute. So let's start off with the 2021 NFL season preview. So we have some. So before we recap the preseason, let's start with some news around the Patriots. So Cam Newton got released, and Mac Jones has been named the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. I was personally happy about it just because I was over Cam Newton, and I knew that Mac Jones was the future of the New England Patriots. What do you think? What do you think Mac Jones starting means for the Patriots moving forward?
Well, yeah, that was I was always thinking Cam, it's probably his spot to lose, but he did that. And they were saying, for one, there was the COVID stuff, and they're saying, they had no effect on, on him being cut. So I'll take them at their word that it was situation where, he did miss practices, which allowed Mac Jones to step up, and he showed that he was pretty good. And why take a risk on Cam when he's injury prone? He's had a couple of bouts with COVID. He's clearly not, taking care of himself in that regard. And, his stats were pretty terrible. He was having a decent preseason. I think it was a situation of, we think Mac Jones is ready. He's the future. And, thanks, Cam. But yeah, for Cam, I don't know what's left for him. He might have another stop or two, but, he's getting older. He's injury prone. He didn't have a great season last year. I don't know who's going to give him a call, if anyone, at this point.
I don't know either. Cam Newton is probably pretty much done at this point, but I also think that if you look at it, I think the AFC East now has a new era of starting quarterbacks. Also, not just Mac Jones that's going to be starting week one. It's going to be Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson so far. Could we see a fourth or fifth in Trey Lance starting for the Niners? I don't know what that situation holds. And the Bears, I want a Justin Fields, but at the same time, they're going with Andy Dalton week one, and I don't really agree with that decision.
Yeah, they paid Andy Dalton $10 million, so maybe there's some money involved with it. They don't want to cut him just yet. It could be that he knows the offense a little bit better at this point than Justin Fields does. I was as we get close to the start of the season, I was looking forward to maybe Justin Fields making his start on Sunday Night Football at SoFi against the Rams, but it's going to be the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, doing it instead.
And then also the Niners situation, you might see either Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance. I kind of think Kyle's having a hard time with this. I think he should go with Trey Lance.
This is another tough one. Yeah, I think the Niners are a bit surprised at how well Trey Lance has taken to the offense and how talented he looks. And I think that they thought it would take him longer. And so, doing this split quarterback thing, I don't know how well that's going to work out, but there doesn't seem like they're in that great of a position heading into the start of the season when you're debating between two quarterbacks. The good news is they have Trey Lance, who's going to be their future star. But yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher for me.
It is a head scratcher for me as well, but also it's already a given fact that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are going to be starting week one, but I'm looking forward to talking about those games next week. So, Anyways, the preseason recap. Let's recap that. So the Chargers and the Rams had pretty good preseasons, but at the same time, it wasn't like, if you looked at it, what were your thoughts on the Chargers and Seahawks game?
Well, Chargers, they look terrible on offense. I would say a couple of things about that. One, obviously, I would say that in this era, practices are valued more than preseason games. I think preseason games are laughable. But, they didn't have the starters out there. I mean, you can't really make say anything about the team itself. I think the question mark with the Chargers, I think, is Joe Lombardi running the offense. And a couple other question marks. Their starting offensive line is really good, but their backups a little bit questionable. Trey Pipkins, their backup left tackle, he's made some pretty boneheaded plays out there, missing blocks and being beaten by some defensive linemen out there. So there might be some concern with that. But Joe Lombardi, he's familiar with Chase Daniel, worked with him in New Orleans. And I think he likes him as a veteran to provide that type of calming influence among the quarterbacks and among the offense, that type of leadership. And not saying Herbert doesn't have that leadership. I absolutely think he does. But it's only his second year, and Chase Daniel, in case he needs to go out there, they might trust him over Easton Stick. But I think that they kept both Stick and Daniel as their quarterbacks. I think Stick looked a little bit better, but I think that Lombardi has the better trust with Chase Daniel, and so probably convinced Staley to keep both of them. Plus, there's COVID this year, and you never know. There could be a player out with COVID and then a quarterback. It happened last year often enough that it might still happen this year. So teams, I think, going with 3 quarterbacks, that seems to be the norm this year.
I think so, just because, you never know if your star quarterback gets hurt, but also the Rams played the Denver Broncos. But how did you like seeing Teddy Bridgewater take over the starting quarterback job? Don't you think he kind of looks – do you think he is in for a good year?
I think so. I think it's their best choice at this point. They opted not to draft a quarterback and make a big trade for someone. So I think, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be their go-to guy, and I think he's a step up from their quarterback situation the last couple of years.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But I think Denver's going to look for a long-term quarterback in the near future. They failed to do that in Paxton Lynch. Drew Lock is, I have to say, he's officially a bust.
Yeah, he is. They tried. He comes from a University of Missouri, and his dad has NFL connections, and it's not working out for him.
Yeah, so anyways, with that being said here, so who do you think won the offseason in your opinion? Was it the Jaguars, was it the Rams, or was it the Patriots? Who did you think won the offseason?
I think a lot of teams did pretty well with the offseason. I think the Rams getting Stafford obviously was huge. I think a lot of teams have good young quarterbacks that they drafted. I think so. I think that there's a lot of good news with that. I think what's his name? Dobbins of Baltimore.
Oh, J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins. Like him being lost for the season, that's a bummer for the Ravens. I mean, they have an offense that runs a lot and that has a lot of that utilizes running backs along with Lamar Jackson and his skill set. And so losing him, I think that'll be interesting to see how the Ravens kind of adapt to that.
Yeah, I think for me, who won the offseason, I think the Patriots won it. I think because they spent a lot of money going for it on offense. I think they spent a lot on defense. So I think that's who won the offseason for me. But who I think lost the offseason for me, I'm going to say 2 teams, the Green Bay Packers and the Houston Texans.
Yeah, Houston. Yeah, they lost just about everything this offseason. So that is a messy franchise right now. And I think Green Bay didn't quite make a splash. I think that the Colts getting Carson Wentz is going to be exciting. Hopefully he's ready to go soon.
Should be ready to go week 1 from what I'm hearing against the Seahawks.
Good. That's good news for them. Yeah. I think that he, like a lot of others, they need to get that COVID vaccine. He could miss a week or 2 in the regular season because of that. It's an embarrassment, to be in that situation, to put your team in that situation. So, I think, but the Colts will be interesting to watch. I think Tampa Bay won the offseason too. They brought back everyone, which I think was their goal as Super Bowl champs. That's a pretty good offseason.
Yeah, they did that too. They brought everybody back, and I think the Buccaneers are favored to win it all again. I think them and Kansas City could meet in the Super Bowl, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes.
Yep.
And who did you think lost the offseason?
Yeah, the Texans for sure. I think the Vikings. I don't think they've done anything to improve their team like the Packers. And I would say I'm looking for one more team that maybe lost the offseason. I'll just go with those 2 for now. Maybe the Giants. The Giants' offensive line does not look good, and that's something you need to take care of. They should have taken care of the previous few months. I'd say the Giants needed to make some moves in that department. They didn't.
The Giants did not, but they did get Kenny Golladay, who used to be a line. I think he's going to be a great target for Daniel Jones.
Yes, I think so too.
And I think Daniel Jones is going to definitely have a good progression in year 3, in my opinion. But I just don't think the Giants need a quarterback. I think Daniel Jones is going to make sure that he performs very well this year.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's talk about the draft. Did you think who won the draft? I think who won the draft, in my opinion, I think it was the Jaguars. I think you get Trevor Lawrence, a generational type quarterback, and then you also build around Trevor Lawrence as well in the draft. But I also thought the Dolphins won the draft.
Yeah, I think both did really well. I think the Chargers did well with their. I think in the draft you got to, if you hit your first 2 picks, that's really good, right? And Rashawn Slater and Asante Samuel Jr. both look really good. So they tightened up that offensive line. They tightened up that secondary. Those 2 are going to be fun to watch this year.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing Rashawn Slater be the starting left tackle for the Chargers. I think it really helps keep Justin Herbert upright. And also, the Chargers have had a weak offensive line these past few years. I think Rashawn Slater is going to be fun. And also Asante Samuel Jr., you reunite him with Derwin James. You got a Florida State reunion in LA.
Absolutely.
And then I think who lost the draft? I think Green Bay lost the draft. They should have just drafted a receiver for Aaron Rodgers, especially in the first round. They should have gotten Rashad Bateman, but no, they did not.
Yeah, I agree. And then Texans lost the draft too. I don't think they really knew what they're doing.
Because the Dolphins had one of their first-round picks.
Yep. You have to put the Rams in there too. They, no first-round pick again this year, and they waived their 5th-round pick. He did not make the team, so that's usually not a good sign. So I
think the Rams are going to be pretty good this year, but I also think that Tutu Atwell is a good addition to the Rams receiving core to help Matthew Stafford out, and I think he's going to learn from him.
Yeah,
and how he likes to throw the ball and run specific routes. So I think the Rams might have won the draft, but I think they found success in the 2nd or 3rd round of the draft.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's go on to our divisional picks. This is the fun part. So you don't have to match my picks. We could be very different here, and also with our wild card team. So let's start with my division, the AFC East. You got the Patriots. You got the Dolphins, who I think are going to be better than they were last year, even though they finished 10-6 last year. The Buffalo Bills, they're obviously the new powerhouse team in the AFC East, and then the Jets. even though that they got Zach Wilson. I think they have a very strong team this year than they were last year with Coach Salah, but I think it's going to take time. So as much as I want the Patriots to win the AFC East, I would pick them every year, but I have to admit, I have to be real here. The Bills are the better team in the AFC East, so I have to go with the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC East again.
Yep. Yeah, I think they're the clear favorites. I think you'll have an interesting race between the Dolphins and Patriots for second, and I'd put the Jets fourth.
And your pick is the Bills?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen's going to take that big leap. So you think that the Bills could take that next leap and go into the Super Bowl after that loss to the Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship game?
They might be ready. Yeah, the Chiefs, they tightened up their offensive line in the offseason, so they made important moves there. But I think the Bills, they're going to throw everything they got at them again.
Yeah, they got a good offense, but the question remains is if their defense is going to be good. Their defensive front wasn't that great last year, but it could be better if they stay healthy. So let's go on to the one of the best divisions in football. So you and I both have the Bills winning the AFC East. So in the AFC West, you got the Chiefs, who are obviously the best team in that division. The Chargers are going to get there this year. The Raiders are on the fence, in my opinion. I think it's going to be on Derek Carr. It's going to be on their defense. The Raiders were right in the thick of things last year in the playoff hunt, but they just could not they just blew it down the stretch. And then the Denver Broncos are facing a lot of question marks at quarterback. So I think who I think is going to win the AFC West, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I am too. And I'll put the Broncos fourth. And I think it'll be close between the Chargers and Raiders. I think that, Gruden has not impressed me that much as Raiders head coach. And that the team tends to implode late. It tends to not have really good late game execution. Carr, I think, is fine. But I wonder if he's going to be like the closer, that you need in that type of quarterback. With the Chargers, I would say, Brandon Staley, he could bring a new fire to that team. They could do really well this year. I have some questions about the Joe Lombardi offense. So I need to see how that kind of comes together maybe by October or so. The defense, I think, should be pretty good, though, for the Chargers.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm with you on the Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets being second, third, and fourth. And also, I think it's going to be a toss-up for second between the Chargers and Raiders. But like you mentioned, John Gruden sometimes questions me as a head coach for the Raiders in his second go-around. It's because the Raiders are just not a good team that closes out games. Their defense has something to do with it, but Derek Carr has nothing to do with the Raiders' late game execution. It's because it's all on the Raiders' defense. And I think the Denver Broncos, I think their defense is going to be better than they were last year. I think they're getting Von Miller back. I think him and Bradley Chubb are going to make that defense a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think here, but I just think the Chiefs are still the better team.
Yeah.
So let's go to the AFC North. That, to me, is one of the best divisions aside from the NFC West. If you look at who's the best division in the AFC and NFC, I think it's the AFC North. I think Cleveland, is going to be very good this year. I think Baltimore, even though that they took somewhat of a step back last year, they found a way to get hot at the right time down the stretch and still found a way to make the playoffs. I'm not sold on the Steelers this year just because of Ben Roethlisberger, but Najee Harris, I think, will be a big help to the run game. I think the defense of the Steelers is very, very good still. And the Bengals are going to be a year or two away from competing. I think the Bengals are a fun rebuilding team, but it's going to be the question is their offensive line going to be better this year? We'll have to debate that in just a minute. So my pick to win the AFC North, I'm going with the Cleveland Browns because I think Baker Mayfield's ready to take that next leap of faith. I think the Browns rely on the running game. They're going to be running the ball a lot. And with Odell Beckham Jr. back, I think the passing game of the Cleveland Browns is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm actually going with Cleveland as well. And I think for the same reasons you said, then I'm going to go with Baltimore, and then Pittsburgh, and then Cincinnati.
I have Baltimore in second and Pittsburgh in third, but Pittsburgh might be on the fence of not making the playoffs this year. But it's going to depend on Ben Roethlisberger. I'm just not really high on Ben Roethlisberger because last year the Steelers really imploded down the stretch because they started out great with being undefeated, but I just knew that their undefeated record wasn't going to last long. And then the Bengals, however,
I think Zach Taylor will get fired.
And you think Zach Taylor will get fired?
And Jamar Chase hasn't looked that good in preseason either. And they still don't have an offensive line.
Was that?
And they still don't have an offensive line either.
Yeah, they still have they still don't have an offensive line, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I just think that the Browns are pretty much ready to take over Baltimore or Pittsburgh. So, anyways, let's go on to the AFC South. You got two good teams there. You got the Colts, then you got Tennessee, and then you got the Jaguars and Texans. So I think the Houston Texans might be in last place, and then I think the Jaguars will be in probably better than Houston, and then I think who I think is going to win that division. I think it's going to be the Tennessee Titans.
As do I. Yep, and I think the Texans will come in last, and I think it'll be the Colts second and Jaguars third.
Was that? What were you saying again?
I think the Colts will come in second, and then the Jaguars will come in third. You said that the Jaguars will come in third, or? Yeah, I think that they will. They still need some pieces, but yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see if the Colts can come together with Carson Wentz. I think they will, though, and finish second in the division.
I think the Colts will. So we'll talk about wild cards in just a minute. So I think the Colts are one of my wild card teams. And I think that the Tennessee Titans are still the better team.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, let's move on to the NFC. So let's talk about the NFC East. So I think this was the worst division in football last year, but I think there's got to be a turnaround in this division. I mean, you got the Washington football team who you like in that division. I think Dallas is good. When Dak is healthy, that's going to come down to that. The Giants. Well, I mean, it's going to depend on the progression of Daniel Jones. And then the Eagles, you're not too high on Nick Sirianni, but the Eagles could be a very good offensive team with Jalen Hurts. But I don't know what the record of the Eagles will be. They could really prove some people wrong.
Yeah, I think Washington football team is going to repeat as champs. I think the Cowboys will finish second, and then I think that the Eagles are going to finish third, and the Giants are going to implode, and Joe Judge will be fired. What do you think?
I think, in my opinion, I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's going to come down to Dak Prescott, and I think Dak Prescott is going to be. I think Dak Prescott is going to be healthy enough to carry the Cowboys.
Okay.
So, but you want Washington football team because
they have a great defensive line, and no one could score on them at the end of last season. They still aren't good at the quarterback position, but it's a team that can win if they just get some quarterback play. I don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick's going to give it to them, but I don't see anyone else in the division dethroning them as division champs.
Yeah, you might be right, but we'll have to wait and see on that. So let's go to the best division in the NFC. It's the NFC West. You got 4 good teams in the Cardinals, the LA Rams, the Seattle Seahawks, and the San Francisco 49ers. I would pick the Seahawks to win this division, but I'm going to go with the LA Rams just because I think they're ready to win now.
Yep, I think so too. Rams win the division.
And I think the Seahawks will finish second. I think it's going to be a toss-up for third between San Francisco and Arizona.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say Arizona comes in second in the division, and Seattle third, and then San Francisco fourth.
And why is that?
I think Arizona, I'm giving some credit to Cliff Kingsbury to bring this team together, and it looks like they have some weapons on offense and defense now, and I think Seattle too is a bit overrated. So, and then San Francisco needs to figure out their quarterback situation still. So that's why I'll go with Arizona finishing second.
We'll see. I mean, I think Cliff Kings. I think the Cardinals. It's going to depend on the Cardinals' defense. That's for sure. So that's what I think here. And then I think the 49ers, if Trey Lance starts, he could really get this team over the hump. I think the offense of the Niners will be better than it was than their 2019 run with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. But they have a very good defense as well. And then I think that the Cardinals, however, I think that the 49ers, however, I think that the Seahawks, I don't count out Russell Wilson. So that's my take on that. So let's go to the NFC North. And my pick to win the NFC North, I still love the Green Bay Packers, and it's still Aaron Rodgers' division.
Yeah, and no one else has done anything to dethrone the Packers. Minnesota hasn't really done anything, and it's not going to. The Bears and Lions just aren't going to challenge them. So, yep, Packers win.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, with that being said, here, let's go to the NFC South. So, I think this is probably going to be a runaway division, and I think Tom Brady and the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers win that division.
Yep, yeah, it's gotten easier with the departure of Drew Brees, so it's going to be Tampa Bay. You could have. Between the other 3 teams, I don't know where to place them right now. So I think any one of those teams can finish second.
Any of these teams can finish second, but I also think maybe Carolina and Atlanta will flip-flop between third and fourth. I don't really know who's going to finish third or fourth.
Yeah.
So anyways, with that being said, let's go to the wild card. Let's start with the AFC wild card pick. So my pick for the AFC wild card 1 will be the Indianapolis Colts. Second wild card team, the Baltimore Ravens, and my third will be the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with the Ravens being a wild card team. And I think they'll be the first wild card team. I think the Colts will be the second wild card team, and I think the Chargers will be the last one in.
I think the last wild card spot in the AFC will come down to the Dolphins, the Chargers, and the Patriots.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And then Pittsburgh, too. I'll throw them and Las Vegas in there, and then we'll have to wait and see.
And what about the NFC?
So in the NFC, I got the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, and the San Francisco 49ers. All 3 of those teams in the NFC West will be in the playoffs, and I think the Vikings and Bears will not make it.
Nice. So you're going with all 3 NFC West teams, or all 4 NFC West teams in the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think the Bears are going to be good, but I think they're going to miss out on the playoffs, and I think the Vikings, they're going to miss out on it for sure.
Yeah, that's not a bad call, actually. I'm going with 2 teams from the NFC West. I'll go with Arizona and Seattle, I think they're going to make the cut. And then I think the other wildcard team is going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, so anyways, with that being said here, let's go to our award predictions as we're going to start with Offensive Rookie of the Year. I originally picked Trevor Lawrence to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I kind of think realistically he's going to go away with that, but I'm going to throw in all 5 quarterbacks in that race for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But my pick to win Offensive Rookie of the Year this year, I'm going to go with New England Patriots quarterback Mac Jones, because I think he had a great preseason. He really exceeded my expectations this preseason. And I think that with Cam Newton gone, I think it's his time to shine.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't think New England is going to pass the ball enough for him to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I am going to go with I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers and Trey Lance as being Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That's a good call, but have you thought about Trevor Lawrence winning it? I think realistically he will win it, but I just picked Mac Jones because I feel like that he's going to make an impression in the regular season. Now with Cam Newton gone, he's going to pass the ball a lot, and I think he's going to hand the ball off a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I want to be. It's kind of lame to go with Trevor Lawrence because he's probably going to win it and be the runaway favorite. But so I'll go with Trey Lance just to be a bit different. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence is probably going to win it.
I also think Zach Wilson will keep up in that race too. I think Zach Wilson is going to sling the ball a lot when the Jets play, and he's going to be fun to watch too. So don't rule out Zach Wilson too, or Justin Fields.
Yeah, for sure.
And for Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going with an Alabama sweep for this one. I thought about Micah Parsons, J.C. Horn, Christian Barmore, who's a second-round pick for the Patriots, but I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos, Patrick Surtain.
Oh, yeah. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Patrick Surtain. So how many interceptions do you think he'll have?
I think he's going to have like 8 or 9 interceptions. I think he's going to have a couple of pick sixes. I think if you look at it, I think that if you look at it, I think that Patrick Surtain will be the first Defensive Rookie of the Year in the Broncos since Von Miller.
Yeah, no, I think, and Vic Fangio's a good defensive coach. Like he's gonna definitely be up there. I think for me, I'm gonna go with I want to say either Micah Parsons or Jamin Davis. They're both inside linebackers. I think they're both going to succeed in those schemes. I'm going to go with Jamin Davis of Washington football team. I think he's a little bit better, stronger of a team. And I think that Ron Rivera is a great defensive coach. And I think it's going to go to Jamin Davis.
All right. So here's my pick for Offensive Player of the Year. I think it's going to be between Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield. But I'm going to go with the baddest man in the NFL and Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, back-to-back MVP, right?
Not back-to-back MVPs. It's Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go to Patrick Mahomes.
Ooh, Patrick Mahomes, that's not a bad choice at all.
Yeah.
And I think for Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going with the LA Chargers, Joey Bosa.
Oh, yeah. And what do you like about Joey Bosa?
I think he's due for one. If you look at it, Aaron Donald is in the conversation each year.
Yeah.
And I say that because every year, if you look at it, I just think that he's in the best position to win this. But I'm not ruling out Derwin James.
Yeah, this is a tough one because I want to agree with you about Joey Bosa. I think if he's healthy, he's going to be a contender, and I think Brandon Staley's defense is great. And I think he could do it. But I'm going to go with Aaron Donald. I can't go against Aaron Donald.
All right. So, anyways, let's go to comeback player of the year. There was a lot of candidates that I had in mind, but how I define comeback player of the year is someone that had a bad season the year prior or 2 years prior, and that's going to make a big leap, and that I think is ready to take that next leap of faith, like how Ryan Tannehill did it with Tennessee. I'm going to pick Sam Darnold to be the comeback player of the year.
Oh, nice. I'm going to go with Dak Prescott.
I mean, if you look at it, comeback player of the year means that you have a comeback season coming back from injury. I don't define it as that. I just define it as who had the bad seasons prior and that they make a huge improvement.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked Sam Darnold, because I think he's going to have a resurgent year in Carolina. He's going to love playing for that offense with Matt Rule and Joe Brady. And I think Sam Darnold is in a very good position to succeed again.
All right.
So, anyways, let's talk about who's going to win the coach of the year. Normally, I would pick one, but I have two co-recipients this year on my coach of the year picks. And I'm going to go with Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans and Brian Flores of the Miami Dolphins as the co-recipients of that award, because they both are under the Belichick coaching tree and player tree. And I think both of those coaches are going to be the reasons why both the Titans and the Dolphins succeed this year.
I think coach of the year is going to be Brandon Staley of the Los Angeles Chargers.
And why do you say that? Why do you give it to a rookie head coach?
I think that he is going to I think he's going to improve this team and get into the playoffs. And I think people are going to notice that. And I think he's a darn good coach. I think he's going to get coach of the year.
Okay. And I think with Brian Flores, I think he's going to make sure that the Dolphins continue to improve on their rebuild. I think the Dolphins rebuild's over, and I think with Tennessee, I think Mike Vrabel continues to make a positive impact on that locker room and also the team itself. So let's talk about who's going to be the 2021 NFL MVP. I'm going to go with a guy that's the GOAT, and I think that he was the reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, and I think they're going for two. And I think he's going to break the Kurt Warner curse. And I think my pick for the MVP of the 2021 season is none other than Tom Brady.
All right. Tom Brady, MVP. Yeah, I mean, he's up there. I'm going to go with Josh Allen of Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely due for one. Aaron Rodgers was last year, but I think this MVP race is going to be a foot race with all quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So, anyways, now let's talk about who is going to play in the AFC Championship game. So, I'm going to say who's going to be in the AFC Championship game. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns going up against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh. I am going with the Buffalo Bills hosting the Kansas City Chiefs, a repeat of last year's title game, but in Buffalo.
So the scene shifts from Kansas City to Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
And my NFC Championship game pick, I'm going to say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Green Bay Packers, but this time it's going to go to Tampa Bay.
All right.
And my Super Bowl pick, Super Bowl 56 pick,
You
and
said
winner,
Tampa Bay plays who?
Green Bay in Tampa Bay.
Uh-huh.
And my Super Bowl 56 pick, I'm going to say Tom Brady and the Buccaneers going up against Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, yeah.
And my pick for Super Bowl 56, the winner, I'm going to say it's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and my Super Bowl MVP will be Tom Brady.
Okay.
And who is your Super Bowl 56 pick, and who's your MVP and winner of Super Bowl 56?
I think it is going to be the Los Angeles Rams. And they are going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the game's going to be in L.A., and I think the Rams win.
Rams beat Buffalo?
No, Rams beat Tampa Bay, and then the Rams play Buffalo. And then I think the Rams beat the Bills this year and bring a title to Los Angeles.
Absolutely. That could happen. I definitely will see that happening, that's for sure. So anyways, with that being said, here on our next segment here, let's talk about here. Let's talk about here as we went a little backward on our list of topics here. So let's go to the coaches on the hot seat heading into the 2021 season. I have 5 of them. Cliff Kingsbury is one of them, along with Vic Fangio, Zach Taylor, big time on my hot seat, along with Matt Nagy and Mike Zimmer. What about you?
Yeah, I think, I think those are, I'll say this. So say yours again. You said same again?
Cliff Kingsbury, Vic Fangio, Zach Taylor, Matt Nagy, and Mike Zimmer.
Okay, can we only do 5 head coaches?
Yeah.
Okay. I think, I think Zach Taylor is number 1. So I think some others that are on the hot seat, I'm going to say Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy. So you got Zach Taylor of the Bengals, Matt Nagy of the Bears, Mike McCarthy of the Cowboys, Cliff Kingsbury of the Cardinals. And I'm going to do one more. I'm going to throw this out there. It's going to be a wild one. I want to go with Vic Fangio because he probably truly is on the hot seat. Like, they can't finish 4th in the division again, but he's a really good defensive coach. And I feel if they do really good defensively this year and they just are like one quarterback away, I think he'll get another year and try to get a quarterback in there. So my other coach that's going to be on the hot seat, I am going to say Brian Flores of the Miami Dolphins.
Why do you say he's on the hot seat?
I think I want to he's in the hot seat in the same way I think Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat, that they have a weird quarterback situation that, with Matt LaFleur, it's Aaron Rodgers. Like, Aaron Rodgers is not happy in Green Bay, and he's kind of not happy with LaFleur. And LaFleur, he's won a ton of games, but you can't have this type of relationship with your franchise quarterback, I don't think. But with Brian Flores, I think the situation's slightly dicier, where they've gone all in on Tua, and if he doesn't become a thing this year, I could see them looking for a new head coach and saying, look, Brian Flores is kind of stuck with Tua, and it's going to be really tough for him to change ship. If they were to change ship off Tua, I think he might lose the locker room, and to a certain extent, or his strategy might go out the window. And it's like, well, how do you do that? You probably just bring in a new head coach. So I think Flores is in a similar situation that Matt LaFleur is in, that they have a very weird quarterback situation, even though I think both are really good coaches. So I'll go with Brian Flores, though, as being a little more on the hot seat than Matt LaFleur, because Matt LaFleur has won so many games.
Okay. Brian Flores, to me, I think he's the safest out of the list that you list here. So that's what I think. That's just in my opinion. I just don't put Brian Flores on the hot seat. I really think the Dolphins are going to take a huge leap in their rebuild. So anyways, let's go to our top 5 position player rankings heading into this season. So my top 5 quarterbacks are Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Pat Mahomes, and Josh Allen.
All right. That's a good list. Mine's pretty much the same thing. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to put I'll put Russell Wilson up there.
And then my top 5 running backs are Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, and Dalvin Cook and Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I agree. No changes with that. Although I think instead of Dalvin Cook, I think I'll put – did you put Saquon Barkley up there?
I did. I put Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I'd put Saquon Barkley, Zeke Elliott, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, and then Derrick Henry.
And then my top 5 wide receivers are Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Odell Beckham Jr., and Tyreek Hill.
That's a pretty good list. I wouldn't dispute it. I agree with it.
And then my top 5 tight ends are Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, Zach Ertz, Hunter Henry of my Patriots, and then to round out my top 5 is Mike Gesicki of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put Hunter Henry up there. That's the only one I disagree with.
I think he's a
I'll
top
say this,
5
someone
tight
to
end.
watch. Some tight end to watch this year is TJ Hawkinson of the Detroit Lions, because he's going to get a ton of balls thrown his way, I think. Because Goff loves the check down, and they don't really have that good of a receiver core to begin with. So I think TJ Hawkinson is going to get a bunch of balls his way.
All right, so let's talk about our top 5 offensive linemen here. So I got Andrew Whitworth is still one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, along with Quentin Nelson of the Colts. Jason Kelce, he still gets it done for his age. He's the ageless wonder out of the offensive linemen. Ali Marpet from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Tyron Smith rounds out my top 5 when it comes to the category of offensive linemen.
Yeah, I'll go with David Bakhtiari of the Packers, Trent Williams, 49ers, Ronnie Staley, Ravens, Tristan Wirfs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'll go wild here. I think Rashawn Slater is going to jump up really quick and become a huge force.
Definitely will be. He could be a huge force on that offensive line, that's for sure. So let's talk about some top 5 defensive linemen / edge rushers here. So one of them on my list is Aaron Donald. Then I got 2-3, the Bosa brothers, Joey and Nick. And then Khalil Mack is the fourth best, in my opinion. And then Chase Young will round out my top 5.
Yep, I agree with all 5 of those. Those are the 5 best, I think.
And then let's talk about our top 5 linebackers. One of them is Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks, still is for his age. Fred Warner of the 49ers. And then I got Darius Leonard, the best, the leader and captain of that defense. And then Patrick Queen. And then to round out my top 5 linebackers, I put TJ Watt up there.
Okay. I'm going to go with Bobby Wagner of Seattle, Fred Warner of the 49ers, Eric Kendricks of the Vikings, Levante David of the Buccaneers, and Demario Davis of the Saints.
I put Patrick Queen up there just because I think he's gonna be that new leader and soul of the Ravens defense. But he's not going to replace Ray Lewis, but I think there'll be someone that will fill that void.
Yep.
And then let's talk about some defensive backs. Who would love a defensive back on your team? elite ones. Like I got Xavier Howard, number 1, Tre'Davious White, number 2, Stephon Gilmore, number 3 of the Patriots, Jamal Adams of the Seahawks, and then Kevin Byard of the Tennessee Titans.
All right, yeah. I have Xavier Howard of the Dolphins, Jair Alexander of the Packers, J.C. Jackson of the Patriots, Darius Williams of the Rams. I'm going to put William Jackson III on Washington football team.
All right, so let's talk about who will be the best teams in the AFC and the NFC. I'm going to say in the AFC, I'm going to say between the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs will be the best team in the AFC.
Yep, I'm saying the Rams and the Bills.
And then the worst teams in the AFC and the NFC, I'm going to say the worst team in the AFC will be, I'm going to say the Denver Broncos.
Oh!
And then in the NFC, I'm going to say the Detroit Lions.
I'm going to go with the Houston Texans in the AFC. And in the NFC, I'm going to stick with you. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions.
Well, the reason why I picked the Denver Broncos in the AFC to be the worst team in the AFC, no quarterback. I don't know if Teddy Bridgewater is going to win them more ball games or something. I'm not sure if Houston will even win a game this year, so that's why I picked Denver.
Yeah.
Because
I'd actually put the Giants maybe. I think the Giants are in line to do a really bad season this year, but they're also in a very bad division. So I think they'll get some junk wins against the Eagles or the Cowboys or something like that. So, you know what? I'm going to change. I'm going to go with the Giants. I'm going to say it's Texans, Giants. I'll switch off the Lions.
All right, so let's talk about who will be our top offenses and defense heading into the season before we talk about college football. And my top 5 offenses this year are the Buccaneers, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Browns, and the Bills.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Bills, the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, Browns, and the Rams.
And then my top 5 defenses are the Washington football team, the LA Rams, the LA Chargers, the Colts, and the Patriots.
Yeah, I like both LA teams up there. I think Rams and Chargers, yes. I think Washington football team, yes. I think the Colts are up there with 4. And I
put the Patriots up there because they really invested a lot on defensive players in the offseason, like Matt Judon, who I think is going to be the reason why I think the Patriots will be a top 5 defense again.
Yeah, I think I'll put the Browns up there too.
Oh, yeah, for sure, the Cleveland Browns. So now, with that being said, let's talk about college football. So let's go with our conference champ picks. Let's start with the best conference in college football, and that is the SEC. And my pick to win the SEC between Alabama and Georgia and Florida, I'm going to go with Alabama.
Yep. Tough to go against Alabama. You got to go with them.
And I think Bryce Young, who was just named the starting quarterback for Alabama, I think he's definitely going to be in contention for the Heisman Trophy, but I don't have him winning the Heisman Trophy. I have someone else winning that. We'll talk about that in just a minute. So let's pick who's going to win the ACC. It's the worst conference in college football. I'm going to say it's still going to be one-sided, and that's going to be the Clemson Tigers.
Yep. Clemson Tigers, they win the ACC. I agree.
And let's talk about who's going to win the Big 12 conference. That one is, I'm going to pick the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yep, me too.
And let's talk about the Big 10. I actually am going to go out on a limb here. Who's going to win the Big 10? I like Ohio State. I think Ryan Day is a quarterback guru, but I think who's going to win the Big 10 is going to be, I'm going to say the Big 10. I'm going to say Michigan with Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, man. I'm going with Ohio State.
And I'll tell you why. I'm going out on a limb that Jim Harbaugh is going to beat Michigan State. He's going to beat Wisconsin. He's going to beat Ohio State. And even though there's a lot of people that list him on the hot seat for college football, I think that this is his year that he finally gets it done against the teams that I mentioned.
Yeah, I don't see it happening that way. It's going to be tough for them in their own division. I think Penn State and Ohio State are both better than them.
You think so? You think Ohio State's better than Michigan?
Yeah.
And let's talk about who's going to win the Pac-12. I mean, UCLA looked good last week. I mean, USC is kind of a question mark, but I still pick the Oregon Ducks to win the Pac-12.
Yeah, that's a tough one too. I'm going to also go with Oregon. I think that USC is right on their heels, but I think that they need. I just don't see them winning in a head-to-head championship game against Oregon. UCLA looked really good in their first game against Hawaii.
The problem with UCLA is recruiting. I think Chip Kelly is one of the best college football head coaches right now, but I just think that you need to recruit.
Yeah.
So I just think that UCLA doesn't have a good recruit right now. So I think Chip Kelly's doing what he can, but the reason why UCLA has been losing all this time, it's not really all on Chip Kelly, though.
Yep.
I think he runs a very creative offense, spread offense, but I think the defense of UCLA has to get it done.
Right.
Let's talk about who's going to win the Mountain West. I like Fresno
I'll say this about UCLA. I think UCLA, they might be a dark horse. I don't think they'll win the Pac-12 South, but I could see Chip Kelly having some success this year. I think he finally has his defense together.
He sure does. But let's talk about who's going to win the Mountain West. I like Fresno State, San Diego State, but I'm going to go with Boise State.
Yeah, tough to go against Boise State. I'm going with them too.
And let's talk about the college football playoffs. I'm going to start off with who are my 4 teams going to the college football playoff. I got Alabama, the 1 seed. The 4 seed is Michigan. The 2 seed is Clemson. And the 3 seed will be Oregon.
Ooh, putting a Pac-12 team up there. And you're leaving out Oklahoma then, right?
I'm leaving out Oklahoma and Georgia. They'll be 5 and 6 respectively when they do the AP Top 25.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a bit of a shock here. So I'm gonna go Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma.
Is that 1-4?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Alabama 1. I think Ohio State. I'll say Oklahoma 2, Ohio State 3. And then with number 4, I think I'm going to go with Georgia. And I'm going to leave Clemson out.
Oh, man. Without Trevor Lawrence, Dabo Swinney's a great coach. I like Kirby Smart, too.
Yeah.
But I think Kirby Smart sometimes gets out-coached. So my national championship game pick, it's going to be Alabama versus Clemson. And my pick to win the national championship game is going to be Alabama again.
Oh, man. I'm going to go with Alabama, Ohio State, with Ohio State getting a title.
You mean payback for Ryan Day and Ohio State?
Yeah.
That's not bad. I mean, Ryan Day's a quarterback guru. I mean, if you look at it, I think Alabama is going to be very good still. But let's go to awards now. Who I think is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner? I'm going to go with the next number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. That's going to be in next year's NFL draft. I think he's going to go in that list on the greatest Oklahoma quarterbacks, along with Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield and Sam Bradford. I'm going with Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, I was going to go with Spencer Rattler too, actually. Yeah, I'm going with him.
And I tell you what, I have no doubt in my mind, whoever has the number 1 pick, he's going to make an impact right away in the NFL. And maybe he might be a Lion next year.
Yeah.
Or a Texan. But I'm going to probably say if the Lions or the Broncos have the worst record, then there's no way anybody will pass him up for the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this debate now. There was one coach that I pick who's on the hot seat in college football, and I'm going to pick USC's Clay Helton.
Oh, yeah. Why do you think that?
He's just been a puppet at USC, and I think that USC is not even gotten to the college football playoff under his tenure. I just don't think USC has found a good head coach since Pete Carroll left USC.
Yep. Let's see. I'll give you some coaches that are on the hot seat. Yeah, I agree with Helton. I'm putting Jim Harbaugh on there.
Whoa!
I think he's going to have another mediocre season. He's not going to beat Ohio State. And why are they keeping the guy? I mean, he should probably be fired after this. They probably won't fire him if it got to that. He'd probably get to step down.
If they don't beat Ohio State, you don't think Michigan will beat Wisconsin or Michigan State?
Nope. I also think Justin Fuente at Virginia Tech. He's had some big shoes to fill, replacing Frank Beamer, but we've ACC. It's just all Clemson now, and maybe Florida State a little bit, but Virginia Tech's just kind of fallen off the map. I'm also Clay Helton, like we said. I'll give a couple others here. Scott Frost, not doing so well at Nebraska, and he has some recruiting issues, I think, or not recruiting, but the use of analysts and consultants during practices and games. And I think he violated COVID-19 protocol. There's a various bit of stuff there. Herm Edwards, I think they should do pretty good this year, but they're under investigation by the NCAA. That doesn't usually end well. And lastly, Ed Orgeron at LSU. He's won a national title, but once again, there's been some Title IX lawsuit stuff, and they're not expected to make so much noise this year. So I could see them moving off of Ed Orgeron.
I don't. I think Ed Orgeron is the right coach for LSU. I think he brought them the title, and he's brought energy to that locker room, and he loves coaching in the Bayou.
Yeah, there's that, and I think he has a huge buyout too, so they might just figure it's not we can't buy him out. But if he has a mediocre season, it'll be interesting.
Also, I think he should have been the next head coach at USC. So I'm thinking this: if USC fires Clay Helton, I was told that USC should hire defensive coordinator from the Washington football team, Jack Del Rio, and I heard that he could bring toughness, discipline to USC, and that he would create a culture that everybody would want to play for USC again.
Yeah, I thought the same thing a few years ago when they looked at Jack Del Rio. Clearly defensively, he can toughen up that team, and that's the Pac-12. It's not just USC. The Pac-12, I think, has a bit of a stigma that they're a soft conference, right? You might get some high-flying offenses, but when it comes down to it, they get punched in the mouth by an SEC team, and they're over. It's over, So he could be the right person to bring in, Jack Del Rio, but he hasn't coached in the college ranks ever or in a very long time. So you got to have the right temperament for that as well. It's a lot different than the NFL.
All right. So our final thoughts is that our next show will be on next Wednesday, September 8th, when myself and Matt, we will be predicting week 1 of the 2021 NFL season. And you better be getting ready, get your popcorn ready for this, because we are going to be making our locks and upsets of each week for week 1. Who is going to be which team is in for an upset, which team is definitely in for a lock against the worst team. But you never know, because sometimes bad teams can beat the good teams in week 1. It's going to be a crazy week 1 coming up. We got the Buccaneers and the Cowboys playing on Thursday Night Football next week, and then the Rams and the Bears next Sunday night. And then next Monday night, the Raiders will take on the Ravens, and then the Patriots take on the Dolphins week 1. So that's probably the only divisional game on the calendar for next week. So, Matt, for myself and Matt, have a great day. And, Matt, you have a great rest of your day.
You too. See you next time.